Matty K here. Here's another 3MK Academy 10-minute tutorial. Today I'm going to go over some tips on how to draw eyes. Everybody loves drawing eyes. They're always all over every high schooler's notebook. People just draw eyes over and over and over and over again because they're the most expressive part on the body. They are the conveyors of emotion, and they're pretty cool looking. So I'm going to teach you how to draw the eye today, teach you how to see the eye, because there's a lot of visualizing that you have to do. You have to visualize things that aren't exactly in front of you. So here we go. Cue the music. If you want to learn to draw, you gotta learn how to see. It's 3MK Academy. Barbershop quartets get me so amped up to draw. So here we go. Let's do it. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's zoom in on our canvas a little bit. Okay. So to draw an eye, you don't want to just, you have to imagine that the eye it's an eyeball, right? In your head, it's a ball. It's not the little football shape that everybody thinks it is, or that it looks like on your face. It's a round, perfectly round ball. So the key to drawing an eye is, get the football in there. Underneath that football is the full round eyeball, and then you use the lashes, the lids, the eyelids, to create the shape of the eye. It's not, so, excuse me, I have bad allergies, so, alright, so let's get like a iris in there. So we have our football shape, right? Then we have our iris, okay? And then we're gonna start cutting in to this football shape and defining what the eye looks like, right? It's the eyelids. Here's the upper lid. The upper lid is always has a heavier, what? That's weird. I'm erasing in green. Why am I erasing in green? Forgive me for the delay, everybody. Oh, where'd my drawing go? Oh, sweet, sweet. I love technical difficulties. Okay. Back to it. Seamless transition. Alright. Alright, so the eyelashes on the upper lid are much more dense and pronounced than the lower lid. So you want to go heavier on there, and don't take them all the way into the tear duct, right? So the eyeballs also have this little tear duct over here in the corner, right? So you're going to have a little heavier up top. The iris always is cut into by the upper lid. It's not, unless the person is completely shocked where, their eyes are wide open and they look like they've just saw a ghost. The upper lid always cuts the top portion of the iris out. As as for the lower lid, it typically rests on the top of the lower lid, right? So we are now going to define the lower lid a little bit more. Right, we got our tear duct, and on the lower lid, they're more dense towards the corner of the eye, the eyelashes, right? They're not all the way along the bottom of the, they may actually be all the way along the bottom of the eye, but they're really only more pronounced towards the corner. So we only draw that part. We only define that part a little bit more, okay? So the outer ring of the iris is always darker than what's in the middle. And we get the pupil in there, all right? Some things to consider when you're drawing the pupil is the lighting of whatever scene you're drawing, because the more light there is, the smaller the pupil is going to be. The less light there is, the larger it's going to be. Okay, next. So you have to visualize, like, it's a 3D object that we're drawing here, and your upper lid is going to to draw it from like a side view here. The upper lid, you know, has, if your light source is coming in like this, right, there's going to be a shadow cast down here, okay? So there's always a shadow along the top of the eyeball, all right? Unless, of course, the light source is shining directly into it, but, you know, in a natural lighting setting, that's what you're going to be dealing with, okay? So in your iris, it's going to be darker. In here, underneath, you build up the value. Alright. So when you're drawing an eye, it's okay to add, you know, the white of your eye, as they say, as it's called, is not really white. You know, there's little veins in there. It's more of like a shade of gray. It's close to white, but it's more of a shade of gray. And you want to consider the highlights. The highlight's going to be the white of the paper, or white if you're painting. It's going to be the brightest point. So you want to make sure you leave absolute pure white for the highlight of the eye. So the eye white is going to have a value applied to it, you know, like a light gray. And then we're going to knock the tear duct a little darker. Okay. I'm going to define the lid a little bit more. Shadow up some more, and as it goes into the corner, remember it's a sphere. So, you know, you have your light source coming down like this. It's going to be darker as we get around here, just like it's going to be darker in here, and it's going to be darker in here. All right, everyone's done this sphere lights with one light source drawing in art school or art class. Okay. Iris, I like to do lines radiating out from the center, even though I drew them kind of going in, but that's what my hand is more comfortable doing. Darken that iris up, the pupil up more, darken the outer ring. Now we're going to push the value some more in here from the shadow being cast by the upper lid. Something. Okay, so remember, it's a full eyeball underneath there, so we have more eyelid skin above the actual eyelashes, right, that we're going to start to fill in a little bit. Alright, and there's a shadow being cast by the eyebrow, right, so we have our eyebrow in here. The shadow, there's going to be a shadow in there in the little nook of the eye, cast by the brow. Build that up some more. Remember, when you're trying to draw realistically, you're drawing highlights and shadows. You're not really drawing, the human face doesn't really have lines on it. You know, it's got highlights and shadows that define everything. So really, when we're drawing the face, we're drawing some shapes that we have to then add highlights and shadows to. That lower lid a little bit more. I'm gonna add music to this because I'm sure my voice is so boring. Sometimes I'm just drawing, not actually talking. It's hard to talk the entire time because like I'm focusing on what I'm doing, you know? Alright, gonna have a little bit of a bag action underneath going here. That's gonna have its own shadow, right? grab my eraser now. How big is my eraser? I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit. Pop that baby right in there. Yeah, another little one down there. One in there. Here we go. That's a nice looking eye. What do you think? Did I teach you how to learn, or did I learn you how to draw an eye? I hope so. Just remember, you don't want to draw hard lines to define the shape of what you're drawing. You want to draw the highlights and the shadows, right? So figure out what the geometry of the face is. You know, the lids have a couple millimeter thickness to them, right? So there's going to be a little cast shadow applied to it, to the objects below it. And you know, save the white of the paper as your highlight. You can use a kneaded eraser or a regular eraser for that. To apply that later, but just remember as you're filling it in, like your eye white is not white. It's kind of like an off-white. It's a grayish color, and then there's shadows all around it. You know, because it's a sphere. There's a sphere, so you're gonna have shadows in here. Oh, that's your eraser. You're gonna have shadows in here. You're gonna have shadows over here. You know, underneath there. So, hope you learned something. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.